Imagine a map, a very large map, of a very large country. It is a map of the Soviet Union at the height of its power, sometime in the late 1950s or early 1960s. The map is covered in the familiar names of great cities. Moscow, a red star at its heart. Leningrad, cradled by its northern rivers. Kiev, the ancient and green. But if you were to look very, very closely at this map, at the vast empty spaces of Siberia, or the dense forests north of the capital, you might begin to notice something strange. There would be roads, drawn in fine grey lines, leading off from major railways, snaking their way into what appears to be uninhabited taiga. And at the end of these roads, there would be nothing, just an empty space. Perhaps a tiny unnamed dot, or a mark for a railway siding that seemed to serve no purpose. The mapmakers had been instructed to leave these places blank. They were, officially, places that did not exist. Tonight we are going to drift gently backward through time, to visit one of those places, a hidden world carved out of the forest, a secret city built for a single, monumental purpose. We are going to walk the quiet streets of Azato, a closed administrative territorial formation. We will wake up there on a cool Siberian morning and spend a slow, gentle day exploring the life of a city that was never meant to be seen. And as the story unfolds, just a gentle reminder, before you get too comfortable, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if this is your vibe. Drop a comment telling me where I'm tuning in from and what time it is there. I always enjoy reading them. Alright, lower the lights, maybe let a fan or soft hum play in the background, and let's relax into tonight together. And so, let us find our way there. The journey itself is part of the quiet mystery. To reach our city, we must first board a train, not a sleek modern express, but a slow, rumbling train, the kind that seems to have all the time in the world. The carriages are painted a deep, comfortable green, and the windows are a little bit dusty, softening the edges of the world outside. The compartment is small and cozy, with two bench seats facing each other, covered in a worn but clean fabric. There is a small fold-down table by the window, and the faint, comforting smell of strong black tea and something like railway grease and old wood. The train begins to move, and it does so with a gentle, rhythmic clanking, a sound that soon becomes a steady, hypnotic pulse, like a great metal heart beating its way across the continent. For hours, you watch the world slide by. First, the grand, ornate stations of the cities, with their echoing halls and the bustle of people on the platforms. Then, the landscape begins to open up. The factories and apartment blocks give way to wooden houses with intricately carved windows, each one a little different from its neighbor. Then, even those thin out, replaced by vast rolling fields of wheat, golden in the late summer light or white with snow, depending on the season. The fields stretch on to the horizon and beyond, broken only by the occasional cluster of birch trees, their white bark standing out like pale ghosts against the darker earth. The sun begins its slow descent, and the world outside the window is painted in long, soft shadows. The train follows the course of a wide, slow-moving river for a while. You can see the water, dark and placid, reflecting the fading pink and orange of the sky. A lone fisherman sits in a small boat, a tiny, still figure in the immense landscape. The train crosses a long iron bridge, and the sound of the wheels changes, becoming a deeper, more hollow clanking for a few minutes, an echoing lullaby as you pass over the water. As night fully falls, the attendant comes by with a glass of tea in a shiny metal holder, the kind with a handle you can wrap your whole hand around for warmth. The tea is hot and sweet, and you hold it, watching your own reflection ghostly in the dark window, the lights of a distant, unnamed village, twinkling like earthbound stars, far, far away. Sometime in the deep hours of the night, you are gently awakened by a change in the train's rhythm. It is slowing down. You sit up, rubbing your eyes, and peer out into the darkness. There is no station here, not one you can see. Just a single, dimly lit platform in the middle of what seems to be a dense forest of tall, dark pines. The air when you step down from the carriage is startlingly cold and clean, filled with the sharp, sweet scent of pine needles and damp earth. The silence is immense, a deep, velvety quiet that feels almost physical after the constant rhythm of the train. There is no town, no lights, no other passengers getting off, just you, the platform, and the wall of dark trees. A single, boxy military truck, its headlights off, waits at the edge of the forest. A soldier, his face hidden in the shadow of his Ushanka hat, simply nods and gestures for you to get in the back. The truck's engine starts with a low rumble, and you are moving again, not on a road you can see, but on a track through the trees, the branches occasionally brushing against the canvas roof of the truck. You are entering the silence, entering the place that does not exist. When you next open your eyes, it is morning, but not a harsh, sudden morning. It is a slow, gentle awakening, the kind where you drift up from sleep gradually, like a bubble rising through deep, clear water. You are in a small, clean room. The walls are painted a pale, calming green. There is a single window, and through it, a soft grey light filters in, carrying with it the distant, peaceful sound of wind in pine trees. The room is simply furnished, a sturdy wooden bed with a warm, thick blanket, a small wardrobe, a table with a ceramic jug of water and a bowl. There is a radiator under the window, and it ticks softly, a gentle metallic conversation as the heat begins to circulate. This is your home, in our secret city. You get up and walk to the window. The glass is cool against your forehead. You look out, and you see a world that is both perfectly ordinary and deeply strange. The city is laid out before you, nestled in a wide clearing in the forest. The pines stand like silent sentinels all around the perimeter, their dark green a stark contrast to the buildings. The city itself is a study in planned geometry. Wide, tree-lined boulevards stretch out in straight, clean lines. The buildings are not the ornate pre-revolutionary architecture of Moscow or St. Petersburg. They are solid, functional, and handsome in their simplicity. They are built of large concrete panels, but they have been painted in warm, welcoming colors, soft yellows, dusty pinks, pale blues. Each apartment block has a small, tidy courtyard in front, with benches and young trees that are just beginning to grow tall. It is early, and the city is just waking up. A woman in a warm coat and a headscarf is slowly sweeping the steps of the building across the street. Her movements are rhythmic and unhurried, a gentle dance of domesticity. A wisp of smoke rises from a chimney somewhere, a pale grey line against the lighter grey of the sky. The air is so still and quiet that you can almost hear the soft crunch of footsteps on the gravel path. As a man, perhaps on his way to an early shift, walks with his hands in his pockets, his breath making small, fleeting clouds in the cold air. This is the first quiet stirring of the secret city. The city has a name, of course. The people who live here know it. To them, it is a real place with real streets and real homes. But to the outside world, it is simply known by a postal code, a number. Let us call it Sverdlovsk 45, or Chelyabinsk 40, or Tomsk 7. The numbers were a kind of shield, a way of wrapping the city in anonymity. The address on a letter from here would simply be the city, the street, the house, and then a code, Kazan 46, or Moscow 300. The letters would be gathered in a special post office in the named city and then driven by secure transport through the forests to the numbered place. Dressing for the day is a slow, methodical process in a place like this. The clothes are practical, made to last. Thick wool trousers, a warm shirt, perhaps a knitted jumper. You pull on sturdy boots, the leather soft and worn. Before you leave your small apartment, you take a moment to look around the room. On the small table, there might be a photograph in a simple frame, a family perhaps, from a time before, or a picture of the city itself. In summer, with children playing in a fountain, there is a small bookshelf with a few dozen books, the collected works of Pushkin, a thick volume of Tolstoy, some technical manuals with worn spines, a dog-eared collection of poetry by Anna Akhmatova, passed from hand to hand. Life here is simple, but it is not without its small private treasures. Stepping outside, The air is crisp and clean in a way that city air rarely is. The scent of the pines is stronger here, mingling with a faint, pleasant smell of coal smoke from the central heating plant. You begin to walk, your boots making a soft, regular sound on the paved path. The streets are almost empty at this hour. You pass a small park, the trees bare in the winter, their branches like delicate charcoal drawings against the sky. In the center of the park, there is a statue. It is not a statue of a general on a horse or a scene of revolutionary glory. It is a statue of a young man, a worker, holding a tool, perhaps a hammer or a piece of metal, looking calmly towards the future. He is a symbol of the city's purpose, industry, progress, the quiet work of building something monumental. The purpose of this city, the reason for its existence, is somewhere nearby. You cannot see it from here, but you can feel its presence. It lies on the other side of the city, past a series of checkpoints and inner fences. It is a vast, sprawling industrial complex, but from here, in the residential heart of the town, it is invisible. There are no smokestacks belching black smoke, no loud noises, no obvious signs of the immense and secret work being done. The people who live here, they all work there, in one capacity or another. They are engineers, chemists, physicists, technicians, security personnel. They are the builders of the Soviet nuclear program, the people who refined the plutonium and enriched the uranium for the bombs that kept the long peace of the Cold War. But when they come home, they hang their work badges on a hook by the door, and they become simply neighbors, parents, friends. You continue your walk, heading towards what is clearly the center of town. The architecture subtly changes. The buildings become a little grander, a little more ornate. You come to a wide, paved square. It is the city's main square, a place for parades on May Day and for quiet contemplation on a Sunday morning. Dominating one side of the square is the Palace of Culture. It is a beautiful building, a fine example of the Stalinist Empire style, with tall columns, a grand entrance, and large welcoming windows. It is the social and cultural heart of the secret city. Inside, there are theatres, a cinema, a library with a high vaulted ceiling, rooms for chess clubs and dance lessons, and a grand concert hall where, on weekends, the city's own amateur orchestra might play Tchaikovsky or Prokofiev. Across the square from the Palace of Culture is the main administrative building, a more severe functional structure, but still with a certain imposing dignity. And next to it there is a department store, a large single-story building with wide display windows. The lights are just coming on inside, and you can see shop assistants in their neat smocks arranging goods on the shelves. This is not the empty, barren shopping of later Soviet years. Here, in the secret city, the shelves are relatively well stocked. Because the work is so important, because the scientists and workers are so valuable to the state, they are given privileges. There might be fresh meat and vegetables when they are scarce elsewhere. There might be imported goods from East Germany or Czechoslovakia. There might simply be a greater variety of the simple things: good bread, tins of fish, bolts of fabric, sturdy shoes for the children. The department store is a place of quiet bounty, a reward for the secret labor. A mother walks by, pushing a pram, the baby inside bundled up so warmly that only a small pink nose is visible. She smiles a small, private smile as she passes. An old man sits on a bench in the square, feeding crumbs from his pocket to a small flock of plump grey pigeons. They coo and strut around his feet, a soft, murmuring chorus. The man's face is weathered and kind, and he watches the birds with the patient contentment of someone who has seen a great deal and is now happy with these small, daily moments. This is a real town, you realize. It is a town of families. The people who built the bomb also fell in love here, got married here, raised children who ran through these streets and skated on that frozen pond in the winter. The secret was not in the people themselves, but in the work they left at the factory gate. Let us go into the Palace of Culture. The heavy wooden doors open with a soft, solid sound. Inside, it is warm and quiet. The foyer is grand, with a polished marble floor and a sweeping staircase. A large framed painting hangs on the wall. It is a socialist realist scene, but a gentle one. It depicts workers and farmers in a sunlit field, resting after a harvest. Their faces calm and hopeful. The air smells faintly of floor polish and old paper and dust. We wander down a corridor. Through one door, we can hear the faint, delicate sound of a piano being played, someone practicing scales over and over. A patient, repetitive melody that is strangely soothing. Through another, we see a room full of easels, where an art class is taking place. A few adults are sitting, quietly sketching a bowl of apples on a draped cloth. Their concentration is peaceful, their brushstrokes slow and deliberate. We find our way to the library. It is a vast, silent room, 2 stories high, with tall windows that let in the soft grey light. The walls are lined with books from floor to ceiling. The smell here is even stronger, a wonderful calming scent of paper, ink and leather. A few people are sitting at the long wooden tables reading. An old man is carefully turning the pages of a large illustrated book about the history of the Russian Navy. A young woman is taking notes from a thick scientific journal, her pen scratching softly on the paper. A student is asleep, his head resting on his open book, his breathing slow and even. The librarian, a woman with spectacles and her grey hair pinned up in a bun, sits at her desk, quietly stamping return dates into the back of a book. The sound of the stamp is a soft, definitive thump, a tiny punctuation mark in the immense quiet. You could spend hours here, just wandering the stacks, running your finger along the spines of the books, feeling the accumulated weight of all the stories and all the knowledge, safe and silent in this hidden city. Leaving the palace of culture, the light has changed. The sun is a little higher now, a pale, watery disk behind the clouds. The day is unfolding in its own slow, gentle way. You walk towards the edge of the residential area, where the planned streets begin to give way to the natural world. There is a path that leads into the pine forest. You follow it. The moment you step under the trees, the world changes again. The sounds of the city, the distant clang of a tram, the hum of a car, the voices of children fade away, replaced by the deep, profound silence of the woods. The path is soft with fallen needles, muffling your footsteps even further. The trunks of the pines rise up around you like the columns of a vast, natural cathedral. High above, the wind moves through the canopy, and you can hear it, a soft, rushing sound like the ocean heard from a great distance. It is the only sound. You walk deeper into the forest. The air grows cooler, damper. You come across a small stream, its water dark and clear, flowing over smooth, moss-covered stones. The sound of the water is a gentle, continuous murmur, a quiet conversation with the earth. You kneel beside it, and the cold, clean scent of the water rises up to you. A bright, red leaf, a survivor from autumn, floats slowly past, spinning gently in a tiny eddy before continuing its journey downstream. To where? You cannot know. You could sit here for a long time, just watching the water flow, watching the play of light and shadow on the forest floor, listening to the immense, peaceful silence. This is the true border of the secret city. Not the fences and the checkpoints, but the forest itself. A vast, living wall that holds the city in its quiet embrace, separating it from the noisy, unknowing world beyond. Returning to the town, you find that the day has reached its soft, warm heart, the dinner hour. The smells begin to drift from the open windows of the apartment blocks. The smell of cooking is a universal language of comfort, and here it speaks in a specific hearty dialect. It is the smell of shi, a cabbage soup that has been simmering on the stove all day. Its aroma rich and nourishing. It mingles with the smell of fried potatoes and onions, of roasting meat, of freshly baked bread from the city's bakery. A smell that seems to blanket the whole town in a warm, yeasty cloud. Families are gathering. Lights are coming on in the windows, one by one, casting a warm golden glow out into the deepening twilight. You can see them, through the uncurtained windows, moving about their small, cozy apartments. A mother setting the table, a father reading a newspaper in an armchair, a child setting out the spoons. It is a quiet, domestic ballet, played out in hundreds of small stages all across the secret city. You walk past one ground floor apartment and the window is open just a crack. You can hear the sounds from within, the soft clink of a spoon against a bowl, the low murmur of a conversation, and then a sound that stops you for a moment. It is the sound of someone humming, a woman's voice, soft and low, humming a lullaby. It is an old tune, perhaps one her own mother hummed to her, in a different place, a different time. The tune weaves its way out of the open window and into the quiet evening air, a thread of pure human tenderness in this city of secrets. It is a reminder that the most important work done here is not the invisible labor in the secret factory, but the visible, gentle work of making a home, of raising a family, of humming a child to sleep in a place that, officially, does not exist. As the evening deepens, the town grows quiet again. The families finish their dinners. The lights in the windows begin to go out, one by one, as people settle in for the night. You find yourself back in your own small, warm room. The day's slow exploration has left you with a feeling of deep calm. You look out the window one last time. The city is a collection of dark shapes against the darker forest. A few lights are still on. A street lamp on the corner, casting a pool of orange light on the empty pavement. A single, lit window in an apartment block far away, where someone, perhaps a night shift worker getting ready, or a student studying late, is still awake. The sky above is clear now, and it is filled with stars. Without the light pollution of a big city, they are brilliant and thick. A river of silent ancient light flowing from one horizon to the other. The pine forest around the city is a deeper darkness, a black ring that holds the town safe. The wind has died down, and the world is holding its breath. And in that profound quiet, you can almost feel the presence of all the other sleepers. The engineers and their wives, the physicists and their children, the security guards and the shop assistants, the old man who fed the pigeons, the librarian with her patient's stamp. They are all drifting off just as you are, in their own small rooms, in their own warm beds. The secret city is sleeping. The immense, invisible complex on the other side of town is silent, its work for the day done. The machines are still, the laboratories are dark. The only thing that remains is the deep, slow rhythm of the town's breathing, a collective sigh of rest. It is easy in this moment to think about the nature of secrets. A secret can be a heavy thing, a burden. But here, in this place, the secret felt different. It was not a secret of shame or fear, but a secret of purpose. Everyone here was bound together by it. They all knew what was at the heart of their city. They all knew why their streets were clean, why their shelves were stocked, why the forest stood so tall and silent around them. They were all part of something larger than themselves, something that demanded their silence, their discretion, and their quiet, dedicated labor. And in that shared knowledge, there was a kind of peace. A sense of belonging to a hidden, chosen community, nestled in the arms of the endless tiger. The night deepens. The last light in the faraway window finally clicks off. The city is now completely dark, a cluster of shadows within the shadow of the forest. The only light is the starlight, cold and ancient, falling on the rooftops and the empty streets. The only sound is nothing at all, just the vast, enveloping silence of a winter night in Siberia, a silence so complete you can almost hear the turning of the earth. It is a silence that holds 100,000 dreams, 100,000 quiet hopes, 100,000 ordinary lives lived in the most extraordinary of circumstances. The city that did not exist has, for a few hours, truly ceased to be. It has dissolved into the night, into the forest, into the quiet breathing of its sleeping inhabitants. It is a place of rest now, and of peace. And as you lie there, in your small, warm room, on the edge of the forest, on the edge of the world, you feel yourself dissolving too, drifting, gently, peacefully, into the soft, deep embrace of sleep. The first pale light of dawn begins its slow work on the secret city. It does not arrive all at once, but creeps in gradually, almost hesitantly, as if respecting the deep quiet of the night. The sky shifts from black to a deep, soft indigo, and then to a grey so gentle it feels more like an absence of darkness than a presence of light. The tops of the pine trees are the first to receive this new light, their dark green needles touched with a silver luminescence that seems to come from within. The city below remains in shadow for a while longer, a dark pool at the feet of the glowing forest. And then, the sounds begin, not suddenly, but one by one, like instruments joining a slow, quiet symphony. A single bird, somewhere in the trees, offers a few tentative notes, a question to the morning. Another answers from farther away. The central heating plant, which has been humming softly all night at a low thrum, begins to work a little harder, its sound deepening as it sends warmth through the pipes to the waking apartments. Somewhere in a nearby building, a door opens and closes with a soft, solid thump. Footsteps, unhurried, on a concrete staircase. You are awake now, but still cocooned in the warmth of your bed. The blanket is heavy and soft, and the air in the room is cool on your face. You lie still for a while, just listening to the city waking up. It is a peaceful soundscape, without urgency or alarm. There are no frantic car horns, no shouting, no sudden noises. Just the slow, deliberate rhythm of a community beginning its day. The room itself is slowly coming into focus as the light grows. The pale green walls are the color of sea glass, or of young leaves in the spring. The wooden floor is worn smooth in a path from the bed to the door, polished by years of quiet footsteps. On the small table by the window, the ceramic jug and bowl catch the grey light, their surfaces soft and matte. Through the window, you can see that a thin layer of frost has formed on the glass overnight, a delicate filigree of ice crystals that transforms the view into something abstract and beautiful, like a drawing made by the night itself. You sit up slowly, and the bed frame gives a gentle, protesting creak, a friendly sound, like an old dog stretching. Your feet find the floor, and the boards are cool and smooth. You dress slowly, the same practical clothes as yesterday, the wool soft and familiar against your skin. At the window, you breathe gently on the frost, and it melts in a small circle, giving you a clear view of the street below. A milk truck is making its rounds. It is a small, boxy vehicle, painted a cream color, and it moves with a stately pace, stopping here and there. The milkman, a stout man in a heavy coat and a fur hat, jumps down from the cab with surprising agility for his size. He carries a wire basket filled with glass bottles, their tops sealed with shiny foil caps. He walks up to a building entrance, disappears inside for a moment, and returns with the empty bottles left out by the residents, replacing them with full ones. It is a quiet transaction, a small ritual of daily life that happens in thousands of towns and cities across the vast country. But here, in the secret city, it feels somehow more significant, more precious. It is proof, if proof were needed, that this is a real place, a place where people need milk for their tea and their children's breakfast. Further down the street, the bakery is already open. You can see its windows from here, steamy and golden. A thin line of people has formed outside, but it is not a hurried, impatient line. They stand quietly, some with shopping bags, some with their hands in their pockets, exchanging a few words with their neighbors, their breath making small clouds in the cold air. The line moves slowly, peacefully, as the first customers emerge with long, crusty loaves of bread, still warm, tucked under their arms, or paper packets of sweet pastries, the vatrushki filled with soft cheese, or the pirozhki with cabbage or meat. You decide to join them, pulling on your coat and stepping out into the morning. The air is cold and clean, and it fills your lungs with a sharp, pleasant sensation. Your breath makes its own small cloud. The frost crunches gently under your boots. The line has grown a little, but you join its end, standing behind an elderly woman who hums softly to herself, a tune you almost recognize. In front of her, a young man in the uniform of a factory worker, his badge already clipped to his lapel, sways slightly on his feet, still half asleep. No one minds. The line is a place of shared quiet, of communal patience. When you finally reach the counter, the warmth and the smell envelop you. The air is thick with the scent of yeast and sugar and baking bread. The woman behind the counter has a kind, round face and flour dusted on her apron. She asks what you would like, and her voice is low and warm, like the loaves she sells. You point to a loaf of Borodinsky bread, the dark, dense, coriander-scented rye that is a specialty of the region. She wraps it in a piece of brown paper, the gesture practiced and efficient, and hands it to you with a small smile. You pay with the special coupons that are used here, a different currency than the rubles used in the outside world. Another small sign of the city's separation. Holding the warm loaf, you step back out into the cold, and the contrast is delightful. The bread warms your hands through the paper, and you cannot resist tearing off a small piece of the crust. It is chewy and flavorful, the taste of the earth and the grain, the taste of this hidden place. You walk through the city as the morning fully establishes itself. The streets are busier now, but still in a calm, orderly way. People are walking to work, to the tram stop that will take them to the industrial zone. They walk in small groups or alone, their faces relaxed, their pace steady. There is no sense of the frantic rush that marks the start of the day in a normal city. Here, everything seems measured, deliberate. You pass a school, a handsome two-story building with large windows. Through one of them, you can see a classroom. Children sit at their desks, their heads bent over their work. A teacher stands at the front, pointing to something on a large chart. The scene is so ordinary, so timeless, that it could be anywhere. But these children, they are growing up in a place their grandparents probably cannot write to. They are learning about the great wide world from books and maps. But their own world is this small, hidden clearing in the forest. They play in the streets and parks of a city that does not exist. Their childhood is a secret too. And yet, watching them, the way one little girl brushes a strand of hair from her face, the way a boy in the back row stares dreamily out the window at the trees, it is clear that childhood itself is the same everywhere. It is made of small moments, of daydreams and friendships, of the smell of chalk and the sound of the bell. Further on, you come to the city's clinic. It is a low, modern building, set back from the street behind a small garden. Even in winter, the garden has a certain beauty, with the bare branches of the lilac bushes making delicate patterns against the white snow. A few people are sitting on the benches outside, wrapped in coats and blankets, perhaps waiting for a consultation, or simply enjoying the weak winter sun. An old man with a walking stick slowly makes his way up the path, helped by a younger woman, perhaps his daughter. They move with infinite patience, one small step at a time. Inside, you imagine warm waiting rooms, the quiet murmur of voices, the gentle professional care of doctors and nurses who, like everyone else here, live with the secret, but whose work is the most open and human thing imaginable. The healing of bodies, the soothing of pain. The day continues in this gentle, unfolding way. You find a small cafe, a place with a few tables covered in checked cloths and a samovar humming in the corner. You order a cup of tea, and it comes in a glass, set in a shiny metal holder, just like on the train. The tea is strong and dark, and you sip it slowly, watching the world go by outside the window. A woman stops to talk to a neighbor, their conversation animated but quiet, punctuated with small laughs. A dog, a shaggy, friendly-looking creature of no particular breed, trots purposefully down the street, on a mission only he understands. A tram rumbles past, its windows frosted over, the faces inside just vague shapes. This cafe is a small haven of warmth and stillness. An old man at the next table is reading a newspaper. The page is large and thin. He turns them slowly, carefully, occasionally sipping from his own glass of tea. He catches your eye and gives a small, almost imperceptible nod, a greeting between strangers sharing a quiet moment. There is a bowl of racked candies on the counter, the kind with bright, simple wrappers, and you take one, unwrapping it slowly. It is a hard candy, a soft, sweet taste of fruit that dissolves on your tongue as you continue to watch the peaceful parade of the secret city. As the afternoon begins its slow descent towards evening, you decide to walk towards the other side of the town, the side that faces the industrial zone. You do not approach the zone itself, of course. That is not permitted. but you can walk to the edge of the residential area, to the point where a wide, empty boulevard leads towards a distant gate, flanked by guard towers. Even from here, you can feel the change. The air seems more still, more watchful. The trees here are older, taller, planted in dense rows that form a natural barrier. The boulevard itself is immaculate, not a single piece of litter, not a single stray leaf. It is a space of absolute order. You do not go further. Instead, you find a bench, set back from the boulevard, partially sheltered by a large pine. You sit there, in the quiet of the late afternoon, and you simply look. You cannot see the factory, not really. It is too far, too hidden behind its own fences and its own trees. But you can see the sky above it, and as the sun begins its final descent, the sky above the secret zone takes on a faint, subtle glow. It is not a dramatic glow, not the orange glare of a steel mill. It is something softer, a faint luminescence, a barely there paleness against the deepening blue. It is the light of work continuing, of processes that never stop, of the immense hidden purpose of the city, made visible only in this tiny, gentle way, a secret shared only with the sky and the silent pines. You sit there for a long time, just watching. The light fades, and the faint glow above the zone slowly merges with the coming night, until it is indistinguishable from the first faint stars. The guard towers become dark silhouettes. The boulevard is empty and still. A single light comes on at the gate, a small bright point in the growing darkness. It is time to go back, to return to the warm lit heart of the residential town. The walk back is through the gathering dusk. The street lamps are beginning to flicker on, one by one, casting their soft orange pools of light on the pavement. The windows of the apartments are lighting up again, just as they did the night before. The evening meal is being prepared. The smells are different tonight, or perhaps it is just that you notice different ones. There is the rich, savoury smell of a meat stew, the sharp, clean smell of pickled vegetables, the sweet smell of a simple cake baking. It is a symphony of domesticity, played out in kitchens all across the secret city. You find a different path back, one that takes you past a small community garden. In the summer, these plots would be bursting with vegetables, with flowers, with the intense green of growing things. Now, they are covered in snow, neat white rectangles marked by the dark skeletal forms of bean poles and the low humps of compost heaps. A single scarecrow, a coat stuffed with straw and a bucket for a head, stands forlornly in one plot, its arms outstretched in a gesture of permanent surprise. It is a silly, charming sight, and it makes you smile. Even here, in this place of high purpose and hidden labor, people need to dig in the earth, to grow things, to create a small, personal patch of life. As you near your own building, you pass a playground. It is empty now, the swings hanging still and silent, the slide a pale curve in the twilight. But you can imagine it in the daylight, filled with the shouts and laughter of children. You can see a small wooden fort, its paint peeling slightly. A place for imagined adventures. A child's mitten lies forgotten on a bench, a small red splash of colour against the grey wood. Someone will come looking for it tomorrow. It will be missed. These small personal objects, they are the truest markers of a real place. A secret city cannot be built only on secrets. It must also be built on forgotten mittens, on garden scarecrows, on the slow, patient lines outside a warm bakery. You reach your building and climb the stairs. The stairwell is quiet, the only sound your own soft footsteps. You unlock your door and step into the warmth of your room. You place the loaf of bread, now cold, on the small table. You fill the ceramic jug with fresh water from the tap in the small, shared kitchen down the hall. You wash your face in the bowl. The water cold and refreshing. The day's slow wandering has settled into your bones. A deep physical tiredness, but a peaceful one. You lie down on the bed, not yet to sleep, but just to rest. To let the day's images drift through your mind. The frost on the window. The milkman with his wire basket. The warm, steamy bakery, the children in the classroom, the faint glow above the secret zone. the scarecrow in the snow, the forgotten red mitten, they are all pieces of a puzzle, a portrait of a place that is both ordinary and extraordinary, a city of secrets that is, above all, a city of people. The sounds of the evening are softer now, the distant clang of a tram, a final fading sound, a door closing somewhere in the building, a soft muffled thump, the faint murmur of a television from the apartment next door. The voice is too low to make out words, just a gentle rhythmic hum. And then, nothing, just the deep, enveloping silence of the night, settling over the secret city like a soft, dark blanket. You think about the people in all the other apartments, the hundreds of small, warm rooms surrounding you. In one, a mother is reading a bedtime story to her child, her voice a soft, steady murmur. In another, a man is sitting at a kitchen table, slowly working through a crossword puzzle, the tip of his pencil moving with careful deliberation. In another, a young couple is dancing slowly to music only they can hear, their shadows moving gently on the wall. They are all living their quiet, secret lives within the larger secret, each one a small, private universe of hopes and habits, of small joys and quiet sorrows. And somewhere, on the other side of the city, beyond the empty boulevard and the guard towers and the rows of tall pines, the immense invisible complex continues its work. But even there, you imagine, it is quiet now. The machines may be running, but they run with a steady, muted hum. The scientists in their labs may be monitoring their instruments, but they do so in silence, their faces calm in the soft glow of the dials. The guards in their towers stand watch, but they stand still and silent, their eyes on the dark line of the forest. The entire city, in all its parts, is wrapped in the same deep, peaceful night. You turn on your side, pulling the warm blanket a little higher. Your eyes are heavy now, the lids growing soft and difficult to keep open. The room is dark, but a faint sliver of starlight finds its way through a gap in the curtain, drawing a thin, silver line across the floor. You follow it with your eyes, this tiny thread of light from a distant star, a star that shines on the secret city, just as it shines on all the forgotten towns and villages of the world, on all the sleeping people in all the hidden places. The line of light blurs, softens, and then fades. The sounds, if there were any, have faded too. There is only the darkness, and the warmth, and the slow, deep rhythm of your own breathing, rising and falling like a gentle tide. The secret city holds you, safe and unknown, in its quiet heart, and you let go, drifting, into the soft, boundless space of sleep, where there are no secrets, no cities, no names, only the endless, peaceful dark. The hours of the night pass in their slow, stately procession. The moon, if it is there, moves silently across the sky, its light shifting and changing, casting different shadows through the window at different times. A thin, silver light that slowly moves across the floor, climbing the wall, touching the ceramic jug, then retreating again. The frost on the window grows thicker, more intricate, a garden of ice flowers blooming in the darkness. The building settles around you, its old bones creaking softly now and then, a gentle, familiar sound, like a lullaby hummed by the house itself. And deep in the night, in that hour when sleep is at its most profound, when dreams are deepest and the world is most still, you might become aware, in a distant, dreamlike way, of a sound. It is not a loud sound, it is barely there at all. It is a low, deep, almost subsonic hum, a vibration felt more than heard. It comes from far away, from deep within the earth, from the heart of the secret zone. It is the sound of the great machines, the ones that never stop, working through the night. But it is not an alarming sound. It is a steady, rhythmic sound, like the distant heartbeat of the city itself. A reminder that even in sleep, the purpose of this place endures. And strangely, it is a comforting sound. It is the sound of order, of continuity, of the great hidden work proceeding as it should. It is the city's lullaby to itself, a deep, vibrating hum that cradles you and all the other sleepers in its immense, secret embrace. Then, as the deepest dark of the night begins to lighten, ever so slightly, Towards the grey of a new dawn, the hum fades, or perhaps you simply sink too deep to hear it. The only sound left is the silence, vast and complete. And in that silence you drift, suspended in a place without time, without worry, without thought. You are simply resting, a small warm being in a small warm room, on the edge of a forest, in a city that does not exist, held safe in the gentle hands of the night. The new day will come, eventually. The birds will begin their tentative songs. The milk truck will make its rounds. The bakery will fill with the smell of warm bread. The children will go to school. The workers will head to the zone. The ordinary, extraordinary life of the secret city will begin again. But that is for later. For now, there is only this. The deep, peaceful, endless night. The soft, slow breathing of sleep. The city that does not exist, dreaming its quiet dream. And you, dreaming with it, held in its hidden, gentle heart. The night deepens around the secret city like water filling a pool, slow and inevitable. The darkness is not empty, but full of unseen presences. The tall pines standing their silent watch, the frost forming its delicate patterns on every surface, the stars wheeling in their ancient courses overhead. In the apartments, in the small warm rooms, the sleepers turn in their beds, their dreams shifting and flowing like underground rivers. The city breathes with them, a collective respiration so faint, so steady, that it becomes one with the silence itself. In one apartment, not far from your own, a young woman lies awake. Her name is Anna, and she works in the library at the Palace of Culture. She is the one you saw, perhaps. The one with the spectacles and the patient hands, stamping books with that soft, definitive thump. But now she is not at work. She is lying in her narrow bed, staring at the ceiling, which is crossed by the faint shifting shadows of the birch branches outside her window. She cannot sleep. It is not worry that keeps her awake, nor fear, nor any sharp emotion. It is simply a kind of wakefulness, a heightened awareness of the silence, of the city around her, of her own small place within it. She thinks about the book she handled that day, a thick history of the Napoleonic Wars with maps and battle plans, a collection of love poems by Anna Akhmatova, the pages soft from much handling, a children's book about a brave rabbit who outwits a fox. Each book, she knows, carries its own world within its covers, worlds that the people of this secret city can visit whenever they open the pages. The library is her domain, her quiet kingdom of paper and ink, and in the night, lying awake, she feels a deep, abiding affection for that space, for the way the light falls across the reading tables in the afternoon, for the soft rustle of pages turning, for the peaceful concentration on the faces of the readers. She turns on her side, pulling the blanket closer. Through the wall, she can hear the faint, regular breathing of her neighbor, an old man named Pyotr Ivanovich, who worked for decades in the secret zone and now spends his days tending a small garden and feeding the pigeons in the square. His breathing is a comforting sound, a reminder that she is not alone in her wakefulness, even if he is deeply asleep. The building is full of such sounds, small signs of life continuing through the night, the occasional creak of a floorboard, the distant gurgle of water in the pipes, the soft hum of the refrigerator in the communal kitchen down the hall. Anna's thoughts drift to her brother, who lives in a city on the Black Sea, a city that very much exists, with its palm trees and its warm salt air. He writes to her sometimes, letters that arrive in envelopes with the census stamps, letters that speak of ordinary things, his work at the shipyard, the weather, a new cafe that has opened near the waterfront. He does not ask about her life here. He knows he cannot. He knows that her city has no name, that her address is a code, that her work is a secret she will carry with her always. Their correspondence is a dance of omissions, a conversation held in the spaces between the words. And yet, those letters are precious to her, thin threads connecting her hidden world to the vast unknowing world beyond the forest. She closes her eyes, finally, and feels the first soft tug of sleep. The shadows on the ceiling have stilled. The birch branches are no longer moving. The room is dark and quiet, and as she drifts, she imagines the forest around the city, the millions of trees standing in the night, their roots reaching deep into the cold earth, their branches lifted to the stars. She imagines the animals that must live there, unseen: the foxes and hares, the owls with their silent wings, the wild boar rooting in the undergrowth. They go about their lives unaware of the human settlement in their midst. Or perhaps they are aware, perhaps they watch from the edge of the trees, their eyes gleaming in the darkness. The city is an island in their forest, a clearing of light and sound in their vast, silent world. And then, at last, she sleeps. Her breathing deepens, slows, joins the collective rhythm of the sleeping city. The night holds her too, as it holds all the others. In another part of the city, in an apartment on the top floor of a building near the main square, an old man sits by his window. He is not trying to sleep. He is Mikhail Semyonovich, a physicist who was one of the first to arrive here when the city was nothing but a clearing in the forest and a few temporary barracks. He helped build this place. He helped design the processes that happen in the secret zone. He has given his entire adult life to this hidden work, and now he is old. His hair white, his hands gnarled with arthritis, his mind still sharp but turning more and more to the past. He sits by the window, wrapped in an old woolen blanket, a cup of tea gone cold on the table beside him. He watches the night. He has always loved the night, the way it simplifies the world, reduces it to shapes and shadows. During the day, the city is full of details, of noise and movement, but at night it becomes something else: a quiet geometry of dark buildings and empty streets, a pattern laid out under the stars. He remembers the early days, the mud, the endless mud of the clearing, churned by trucks and boots, the temporary barracks, cold in winter, sweltering in summer, the work, always the work, driven by a sense of urgency he can still feel in his bones. A pressure from a world that did not even know this place existed. They worked around the clock, in shifts, sleeping when they could, eating when they remembered. They were young then, most of them, filled with a sense of purpose, of participating in something monumental. They did not question the secrecy, the isolation, the sacrifice. It was simply the way things were, the price of the work. And now, decades later, he sits in a warm apartment, in a comfortable city, surrounded by the comforts and stability he helped create. The city is his legacy, as much as the work in the zone. He watches the young families walking in the square, the children playing in the parks, and he feels a deep, quiet satisfaction. They do not know him, most of them. They do not know what he did, what he and the others did to make this place possible. And that is as it should be. The work was secret, and the secret is still kept, even from those who benefit from it most directly. A light goes on in an apartment across the street. He sees a figure move past the window, a woman, perhaps, checking on a child. The light stays on for a few minutes, a warm yellow rectangle in the dark facade of the building, and then it goes out again. Mikhail Semyonovich smiles, a small, private smile. These small moments of domestic life, they are the reward. They are what he was working for, all those years in the mud and the cold. Not glory, not recognition, but this, a safe place for people to live, to raise families, to turn on a light in the night, to check on a sleeping child. He finishes his cold tea, the taste bitter but familiar. He will not sleep tonight. He often does not in these later years. But he does not mind. The night is a good companion. Quiet and undemanding, he will sit here until the first grey light appears over the tops of the pines, watching over his city, the city he helped build, the city that does not exist. He is its oldest guardian, its silent sentinel, and in his wakefulness he keeps a vigil for all the sleepers, for all the dreamers, for all the hidden lives unfolding in the darkness below. In a ground floor apartment in a building near the bakery, a young boy named Yuri lies in his bed, his eyes wide open. He is 8 years old, and he is supposed to be asleep, but he is waiting. Waiting for a sound he has heard only once before, a sound that fascinated him so deeply he cannot forget it. It came in the deepest part of the night, a low, humming vibration that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, that he felt in his chest and in his teeth before he heard it with his ears. His father told him it was nothing, just the machines in the zone, the ones that never stop. But to Yuri, it was magic. The sound of the city's secret heart, beating in the dark. He lies perfectly still, straining to hear. The apartment is quiet. His parents are asleep in the next room, their breathing soft and regular. The building is quiet. The street outside is quiet. Only the forest makes sound, the faint, distant whisper of wind in the pines. He waits, his small body tense with anticipation, and then, just when he is about to give up, to let his eyes close and surrender to sleep, he feels it. A faint tremor, a vibration that starts in the mattress and travels up through his bones. And then the sound comes, a low, deep hum, so faint it is almost imaginary. But there, definitely there, the secret heartbeat of the city. Yuri smiles in the darkness. He has heard it. He has been visited by the sound. He does not know what it means, what vast processes it represents, what immense forces are at work on the other side of the city. He only knows that it is his secret, his private knowledge, a gift from the night. He holds the sound in his memory as it fades, as the vibration slowly diminishes, leaving only silence behind. And then, content, he closes his eyes and drifts into sleep. The faint echo of the city's heart still pulsing somewhere deep in his dreaming mind. The night moves on, unhurried, impartial. The stars continue their slow wheel. The frost deepens on every surface, transforming the city into a landscape of glittering white. The pines stand silent, their branches heavy with the accumulated cold, and in the small, warm rooms the sleepers dream their dreams. Each one a private world, each one a thread in the vast, invisible tapestry of the city's hidden life. In one dream, a woman is walking through a field of sunflowers, the blooms so tall they rise above her head. Their faces turn towards a sun so bright, it warms her skin through her closed eyelids. She walks and walks, and the sunflowers part before her, creating a path that leads to a small wooden house she has never seen before, but recognizes instantly as home. She opens the door, and inside, her grandmother is sitting at a table, kneading bread, her hands dusted with flour. The grandmother looks up and smiles, and the woman feels a wave of love so intense it almost wakes her. But the dream holds her, and she sits down at the table, and her grandmother pushes a piece of warm bread towards her, and she takes it, and the taste is the taste of childhood, of safety, of unconditional love. In another dream, a man is flying, not in an airplane, but on his own, his arms spread wide, soaring over the tops of the pines. He looks down and sees the secret city laid out below him, small and perfect, a toy town in a clearing. He sees the apartment blocks, the palace of culture, the school, the bakery. He sees the empty boulevard leading to the zone, and the zone itself, a complex of buildings he has worked in for years but never seen from above. It looks different from here, less menacing, more like a part of the landscape, just another cluster of human-made shapes in the vastness of the forest. He flies higher, and the city shrinks, becomes a small dot, and then it is lost in the green expanse of the taiga. He is alone in the sky, weightless and free, and the feeling is so joyful, so liberating, that he laughs out loud, a sound that emerges from his sleeping throat as a soft, contented sigh. In another dream, a child is playing in the snow. It is not the child's own dream, but the dream of an old woman who lives alone in a small apartment near the edge of the forest. She dreams of herself as a little girl, in a village far from here, a village that was swallowed by a reservoir decades ago, its houses and streets now deep under water. In the dream, she is building a snowman with her brother, who died in the war. They roll the snow into balls, laughing, their breath making clouds in the cold air. They find sticks for arms, and stones for eyes, and an old carrot for a nose. When the snowman is finished, they stand back to admire their work, and the snowman seems to smile at them, a lopsided, friendly smile. Her brother takes her hand, and they stand there together, in the snow, in the village that no longer exists. And the old woman, sleeping in her secret city, feels a peace she has not felt in years. The dreams come and go, like clouds crossing the sky. Some are vivid and memorable. Others are faint and quickly forgotten. Some are joyful, some are sad, some are simply strange, full of images and events that make no sense upon waking. But all of them are real, in their way, as real as the frost on the windows, as real as the silent pines. They are the inner lives of the city's inhabitants, the private worlds they carry with them into the night, the stories they tell themselves when they are most vulnerable, most open, most themselves. And through it all, the city itself remains unchanged. The buildings stand firm against the cold. The street lamps cast their steady orange glow. The fences around the zone hold their silent perimeter. The city does not dream, but it contains the dreams, holds them within its boundaries, gives them a place to unfold. It is the container, the vessel, the hidden vessel, for all these hidden lives. In the small hours when the night is at its deepest and most still, a change occurs. It is a subtle change, almost imperceptible, but it is there. The darkness begins to lose its absolute quality, to soften, to grey, just a little at the edges. It is not yet dawn, not even close to dawn, but something in the quality of the night shifts. A turning, a slight easing of the hold of darkness. The stars, if one were watching closely, seem to burn a little less brightly, their light dimming, as if in anticipation of a coming change. In the apartments, the sleepers stir, some of them shifting in their beds, turning from one side to the other. The deepest part of the night is past. The long, slow climb towards morning has begun, though it will be hours yet before the first light touches the tops of the pines. In the apartment near the main square, Mikhail Semyonovich still sits by his window. He has not moved, has not slept. But he has noticed the change, the slight softening of the darkness. He knows this hour well, has known it for decades. It is the hour when the night begins to release its hold, when the world starts, ever so slowly, to prepare for the return of the light. He finds it a hopeful hour, despite its darkness, or perhaps because of it. It is proof that the night does not last forever, that even the deepest darkness eventually gives way. He thinks about the day ahead. He will go to the Palace of Culture, perhaps, and sit in the library, reading or just watching the people come and go. He might walk in the park, if the cold is not too bitter, and feed the pigeons, like the other old men. He might visit the clinic for his regular checkup, a routine he has followed for years, a small ritual of maintenance for his aging body. The day will be full of small, ordinary things, the small, ordinary things that make up a life, and he is grateful for them, deeply grateful, in a way he could not have understood when he was young and driven by the urgency of the work. He rises stiffly from his chair. His joints protest, but he ignores them. He walks to his small kitchen and puts the kettle on to boil. The familiar ritual of making tea, a comfort in the darkness. While he waits for the water to heat, he stands at the kitchen window, which faces away from the city, towards the forest. He can see nothing out there, only the deeper darkness of the trees against the slightly less dark sky. But he knows the forest is there, vast and patient, waiting for the dawn. He has always felt a kinship with the forest, a respect for its age, its silence, its endurance. It was here long before the city, and it will be here long after, if the city ever ceases to be. The forest is the true secret of this place, the ancient watching presence that holds the city in its quiet embrace. The kettle boils and he makes his tea, the movements slow and deliberate. He carries the cup back to his chair by the window and sits down again, wrapping the old blanket around his shoulders. The tea is hot and strong, and he sips it slowly, feeling the warmth spread through his chest. The darkness outside continues its slow, imperceptible softening. The night is on the turn. The city sleeps on, unknowing, held in the balance between darkness and light, between dream and waking. And in your own small, warm room, You sleep too. You have drifted deep, past the layers of dreams, into a place of perfect stillness. You are not aware of the city around you, not aware of the forest, not aware of the night softening towards dawn. You are simply resting, your body heavy and warm, your mind empty of thought, your breath slow and even. You have become, for these hours, a part of the city's secret, a sleeper among sleepers, a dreamer among dreamers. The night holds you as it holds them all, and you rest in its deep, patient embrace. The hours pass. The softening of the darkness continues almost imperceptibly, a gradual lightening that is more a feeling than a sight. The stars begin to fade, one by one, as if someone is gently extinguishing them. The pines become visible, first as a darker mass against the sky, then as individual trees, their shapes emerging from the night. The frost on the windows catches the first hint of light, glittering faintly, a million tiny diamonds forming on the glass. In the apartments, the sleepers begin to stir more noticeably. The deepest sleep is past. They drift closer to the surface, their dreams becoming more fragmented, more fleeting. Soon, the first alarms will ring, the first radios will crackle to life, the first footsteps will sound in the stairwells. The city will wake, slowly, gently, as it always does, and another day will begin. But that is still to come. For now, there is still this, the last, lingering moment of night, the soft grey light before dawn, the city held in the hush between darkness and day. The sleepers rest, on the edge of waking, their dreams fading like the stars. The city breathes, slow and deep, one last time, before the business of the day begins. And in that hush, in that soft grey light, the secret city is most itself. It is a place of potential, of possibility, of the quiet promise of a new day. It is a place where secrets are kept, but also where lives are lived, where dreams are dreamed, where the ordinary and the extraordinary meet in the hidden heart of the forest. It is a city that does not exist, and yet, in this moment, it exists more fully, more purely than at any other time. It exists in the space between night and day, between sleep and waking, between the known and the unknown. It exists as a feeling, a presence, a quiet truth that needs no map, no name, no official recognition. The first bird sings, a single tentative note, testing the morning. Another answers, from farther away. The sound is small and fragile in the vast silence, but it is enough. It is the first sign of the new day, the first voice of the waking world. The city stirs, ever so slowly in response. The secret city, the hidden city, the city that does not exist, prepares to meet another day. The first bird's song fades into the grey stillness, and for a long moment nothing follows. The silence returns, deeper perhaps for having been briefly broken, a vast, listening quiet that seems to wait for something, though what that something might be, the silence itself does not know. The soft grey light continues its slow advance, seeping into the spaces between buildings, touching the frosted rooftops, tracing the outlines of the pine trees against the pale sky. The city remains asleep, or mostly asleep, held in that suspended state between night and morning when time itself seems to pause, to take a breath, before the rush of the day begins. In the apartment building near the bakery, in the small room where Yuri lies sleeping, the grey light finds its way through a gap in the curtain, falling across his face in a thin, pale stripe. He does not stir. He is deep in dream now, far from the waking world, visiting places the light cannot reach. In his dream, he is in the forest, but it is a different forest from the one that surrounds the city. This forest is full of colour, of impossible brightness. The trees have leaves of gold and silver, and the ground beneath them is carpeted with flowers that glow with their own inner light. He walks through this enchanted place, and the trees seem to bow to him as he passes, their branches sweeping the ground in gestures of deep respect. He is not surprised by any of this. In dreams, such things are ordinary. He comes to a clearing, and in the centre of the clearing stands a creature he has never seen before. a creature out of the old stories his grandmother used to tell him. It is a great, shaggy bear, but a bear that walks on two legs like a man, and its eyes are wise and kind, the eyes of a creature that has seen many things and understood them all. The bear looks at Yuri, and Yuri looks at the bear, and for a long moment, neither moves. Then the bear speaks, its voice deep and rumbling like the sound of the city's secret heart, but with words woven into the vibration. "You are the one who listens," the bear says, "the one who hears the city breathing in the night." Yuri nods, though he is not sure what the bear means. He does listen, it is true. He listens to the sounds of the night, the small creakings and sighings of the building, the distant hum of the zone, the whisper of the wind in the pines. He listens, and he hears things others do not. The city has many secrets, the bear says, but the deepest secret is this: it is alive, it breathes, it dreams, it remembers, and you, little listener, are part of its dreaming. The bear reaches out a great paw, and in its palm, Yuri sees something small and glowing, a tiny light that pulses like a heart beating. The bear offers it to him, and Yuri reaches out to take it, his small hand reaching towards the light, and then he wakes. The grey light is in the room, the pale stripe across his face. He is in his bed, in his small room in the apartment near the bakery. The dream fades, as dreams do, the details slipping away like water through fingers. But something remains, a feeling, a warmth in his chest, a sense that something important has happened, something he cannot quite remember, but cannot quite forget. He lies still, his eyes open, watching the light on the ceiling, and he feels for the first time that he belongs here, in this hidden place, in this city that does not exist. He is part of its dreaming, the bear said, and though he cannot recall the bear or the words, the feeling lingers, a quiet certainty that settles into his bones like warmth from a fire. In another part of the city, Anna is already awake. She has been awake for some time, lying in her bed, watching the light grow in her room. She did not sleep well, or perhaps she slept too well. Her dreams so deep and strange that waking feels like a kind of displacement, a return to a world less real than the one she has just left. She remembers fragments, a library with no walls, books floating in the air like birds, pages turning themselves in a wind that came from nowhere. She was trying to read one of the floating books, but the words kept changing, rearranging themselves before she could grasp their meaning. It was frustrating, but not unpleasantly so. It was the kind of dream that leaves a residue, a sense of something just beyond reach, a mystery that will not be solved. She rises finally, the cold floor waking her fully. She dresses quickly, the familiar clothes a comfort, and goes to the small communal kitchen to make tea. The kitchen is empty at this hour, the window still dark, though the grey light is beginning to tartnet through. She fills the kettle, lights the gas ring with a soft whoosh, and waits for the water to boil. The familiar ritual calms her, anchors her in the ordinary. She takes her tea back to her room and sits by the window, watching the city wake. From her window she can see the street below, still empty, still sleeping. But there are signs of life. A light on in an apartment across the way, a figure moving past a window. A dog trots down the street, pauses to sniff at a lamppost, then continues on its way, a creature of habit and purpose. The bakery, she knows, will be open soon. The milk truck will make its rounds. The trams will begin to run. The city will shake off the night and resume its ordinary, extraordinary life. She sips her tea and thinks about the day ahead. She will go to the library, as she does every day. She will unlock the heavy doors, turn on the lights, breathe in the familiar smell of paper and dust. She will stamp books, help readers find what they are looking for, reshelve the volumes returned the day before. It is quiet work, patient work, the kind of work that suits her. She likes the order of it, the way each book has its place, its proper spot on the shelves. She likes the silence of the library, the way it holds so many voices within its quiet. But today, she thinks, she might do something different. Today, she might take a book for herself, one of the books she has always meant to read but never found the time for. She might sit at one of the long tables in the afternoon light and lose herself in someone else's story. It is a small thing, a small indulgence, but the thought pleases her. It gives the day a shape, a purpose beyond the usual routine. She finishes her tea and sets the cup aside. She has time yet before she needs to leave. She sits by the window a little longer, watching the light grow, watching the city come alive, one window at a time. It is a peaceful thing, this watching. It makes her feel connected to the place, to the people whose lives unfold in these buildings, on these streets. She does not know them, most of them, but she knows they are there. Her neighbors, her fellow citizens of this hidden place. They are all part of the same secret, all bound by the same invisible thread. And in the morning light, that thread feels less like a constraint and more like a gift, a connection to something larger than herself. In the apartment near the main square, Mikhail Semyonovich has finally drifted into a light sleep. He sits in his chair by the window, his head tilted to one side, his breathing slow and shallow. The cup of tea, long empty, sits on the table beside him. The grey light falls across his face, and in sleep he looks younger. The lines of age and worry softened, smoothed away. He is dreaming, though his dreams are not the vivid, colourful dreams of childhood. They are pale, indistinct, more like memories than dreams. Fragments of the past floating up from the depths. He sees the clearing again, the mud, the temporary barracks. He sees the faces of the men and women who were there with him. Young faces, eager faces, faces full of the certainty that they were doing something important, something that mattered. Some of those faces are gone now, lost to time, to illness, to the accidents that come with dangerous work. Others have scattered, retired to cities that exist, to lives that have nothing to do with the secret they once shared. He is one of the few who stayed, who made this place his home, who watched it grow from a muddy clearing into a real city, with real streets and real homes and real families. In his dream, one of those faces comes into focus. It is a woman, young and pretty, with dark hair and bright eyes. Her name was Katya, and she was a technician in the zone, one of the first women to work there. She was smart, quick, fearless. She and Mikhail worked together on some of the early experiments, long shifts in the cramped makeshift laboratories. They became friends, and more than friends, though neither of them ever said the words. There was no time for such things in those early days. There was only the work. Katya died in an accident, a small one, the kind that should not have been fatal. A piece of equipment malfunctioned, a radiation leak that was contained but not before she received a dose that was too high. She was gone within weeks. Mikhail was with her at the end, in the small hospital that was then just another temporary building. She was calm, he remembers. She was not afraid. She told him to keep working, to finish what they had started. She said it mattered. In the dream, she is young again, healthy again, her dark hair shining in the light of a sun that does not exist. She smiles at him, the same smile she always had. A little crooked, a little mischievous. She does not speak. She does not need to. She simply looks at him, and in her eyes he sees everything they were, everything they might have been, everything that was lost. And then she fades, slowly, like the morning mist burning off the forest. And he is alone in the dream, alone in the clearing, with the mud and the barracks, and the sense of something immense and unfinished hanging in the air. He wakes with a start, his heart beating faster than it should. The grey light is stronger now, the room brighter. He's in his chair, in his apartment, in the city he helped build. Katya is gone, has been gone for decades, but her presence lingers, as it always does, a quiet ghost in the background of his life. He reaches for his cup, finds it empty, sets it down again. He will make more tea in a moment. For now he sits, letting his heart slow, letting the dream fade, letting the morning light work its gentle magic. The city is fully waking now. The trams have begun to run, their distant rumble a familiar sound. The streets are filling with people, walking to work, to school, to the shops. The bakery is open, the line forming outside, the warm smell of bread drifting on the cold air. The school children are gathering in the playground, their voices a distant, cheerful murmur. The palace of culture is opening its doors, the librarian arriving to unlock the library, the art students setting up their easels, the chess club members taking their places at the boards. The secret city, the city that does not exist, is going about its ordinary business. The work in the zone continues, invisible, unheard, unfelt by those who are not part of it. But the life of the city, the real life, the daily life, unfolds in plain sight, in the streets and parks and shops and schools. It is a life like any other, made of small moments, small interactions, small pleasures and small sorrows. It is a life that could be anywhere, and that is perhaps its deepest secret. That even in a place built for the most extraordinary purpose, the ordinary persists, the human persists. The small, quiet rhythms of daily existence continue, indifferent to the grand narratives that brought the city into being. In the school near the park, the children are settling into their classrooms. The teacher, a young woman named Elena Petrovna, stands at the front of the room, watching her students take their seats. They are 7 years old, most of them, 8 at the oldest. They are at that age when the world is still new, still full of wonder, when every day brings discoveries. She loves this age, loves watching their minds open like flowers, loves the questions they ask, the connections they make, the sheer joy they take in learning. Today, she is going to teach them about the forest. Not the forest around the city specifically, that would raise questions she cannot answer, but forests in general, the great forests of Russia, the taiga that stretches across Siberia, the mixed forests of the European plain. She will show them pictures, tell them stories, teach them the names of trees and animals. She will try to convey something of the magic of the forest, the way it holds secrets, the way it changes with the seasons, the way it is both beautiful and a little frightening. The children listen, some more attentively than others. They are good children, for the most part, well-behaved, eager to please. They are the children of the secret city, and they carry that secret without knowing it, without understanding that their world is different from the world outside. To them, this is simply home, the only home they have ever known. The forest is the edge of their world, the boundary beyond which they cannot go. They accept it, as children accept everything, without question, without wonder, until the wonder is taught to them. One little girl, Masha, raises her hand. She wants to know if there are bears in the forest. Elena Petrovna smiles. Yes, she says, there are bears, but they are far away, deep in the forest, and they are more afraid of you than you are of them. The children are fascinated, a little scared, thrilled by the idea of bears so close, yet so invisible. They bombard her with questions. What do bears eat? How big are they? Do they hibernate? Have you ever seen one? She answers as best she can, her voice calm and patient, weaving a picture of the forest and its hidden inhabitants. Outside the window, the forest is visible, a dark line of trees at the edge of the town. The children glance at it now and then, their imaginations filling it with bears and other creatures. They do not know that the forest is also a boundary, a barrier, a wall that keeps them in and keeps the world out. They do not know that the real secrets of their city lie not in the forest, but in the opposite direction, in the zone they are never allowed to approach. They are children, and their world is small, and that smallness is a kind of protection, a cocoon in which they can grow and learn and dream, unaware of the larger forces that shape their lives. The morning lesson continues. The bears are forgotten, replaced by other wonders. Elena Petrovna teaches them about the seasons, about how the forest changes when winter comes, how the animals adapt, how the trees prepare for the long sleep of the cold months. She teaches them about the birds that stay and the birds that fly away, about the tracks animals leave in the snow, about the way the forest looks when it is covered in frost, each branch and twig outlined in white. She teaches them to see, to notice, to wonder. It is quiet work, patient work, the work of shaping young minds, and she does it with a gentle devotion that is its own kind of love. in the library, Anna has begun her day. She has unlocked the doors, turned on the lights, breathed in the familiar smell. She stands for a moment in the silence, the great room empty and still, the books waiting on their shelves like sleeping creatures. She walks slowly through the stacks, running her fingers along the spines, feeling the texture of cloth and leather, the slight give of paper. This is her domain, her kingdom, and she loves it with a quiet, abiding passion. She reaches her desk and sits down, the chair creaking softly beneath her. There is a stack of books to be reshelved, returns from the day before. She begins the work, moving slowly, deliberately, placing each book in its proper place. It is meditative work, the kind that allows the mind to wander while the hands are busy. She thinks about the books, about the people who read them, about the worlds they contain. Each book is a door, she thinks, a door into another time, another place, another mind. And here, in this hidden city, these doors are more precious than anywhere else, because they are the only doors to the outside world that most people here will ever pass through. A reader arrives, an old man she recognizes but does not know by name. He comes often, always to the same section, the history section. He is researching something, she thinks, though he never says what. He nods to her, a small polite gesture, and disappears into the stacks. She hears his footsteps, slow and careful, on the wooden floor, then silence as he finds his place. She returns to her work, the soft thump of the stamp marking the rhythm of her morning. The day unfolds, slow and gentle, in the library. More readers arrive, some to browse, some with specific requests. A young woman wants a book on embroidery, for a project she is working on. A man asks for a novel by a writer Anna has never heard of, a foreign writer, the name strange on his tongue. She finds it for him, a slim volume with a faded cover, and he takes it with a quiet word of thanks. A child comes in, a little girl with pigtails, looking for a book about horses. Anna shows her the children's section, helps her find a book with pictures of ponies and foals. The little girl's face lights up, and Anna feels a small glow of satisfaction. This is why she does this work, for moments like this, for the light in a child's eyes when she finds the book she wants. The morning passes into afternoon. The light through the tall windows shifts, grows stronger, then begins to soften again as the sun starts its slow descent. Anna takes a break, makes herself a cup of tea in the small staff kitchen, stands by the window looking out at the street. The city goes about its business, ordinary and extraordinary at once. She sees a woman pushing a pram, an old man walking slowly with a stick, a group of children running home from school, their laughter carrying on the cold air. She sees the trams passing, the people getting on and off, the small dramas of daily life playing out in the grey afternoon light. She thinks about her brother on the Black Sea and wonders what he is doing at this moment. It is warmer there, she knows. The sun is probably shining. He might be at work or on his way home, or sitting in that new cafe he wrote about, drinking coffee and watching the sea. She imagines him there, a small figure against the vast blue of the water, and the distance between them feels immense, unbridgeable. But the image is also comforting, a reminder that he exists, that somewhere in the world, someone who shares her blood and her history is living a life, a real life, in a city that has a name and a place on the map. She finishes her tea and returns to her desk. The afternoon stretches before her, quiet and predictable. More readers will come, more books will be borrowed and returned. She will stamp them, shelve them, help those who need help. It is not exciting work, but it is satisfying, the kind of work that leaves her feeling useful, connected, part of something. The library is a small world within the larger world of the secret city, a place of stillness and thought, a refuge from the demands and pressures of the life outside its doors. And she is its guardian, its caretaker, its quiet heart. In the park near the main square, the old men are gathering, as they do every afternoon, to feed the pigeons and discuss the affairs of the day. Pyotr Ivanovich is there, the one who lives next to Anna, the one whose breathing she hears through the wall at night. He sits on his usual bench, a bag of breadcrumbs in his lap, the pigeons clustering at his feet. They are fat, contented birds, their feathers smooth and glossy, their cooing a soft, constant murmur. The other old men arrive one by one, taking their places on the benches. Their conversations a low hum beneath the cooing of the pigeons. They talk about the weather, about their health, about the small events of their lives. They do not talk about the zone, about the work they used to do. That is a subject that remains unspoken, even among themselves. They carry their secrets with them, into their old age, into their retirement, into these afternoons in the park. The secrets are part of them now, as familiar as the lines on their faces, as the aches in their joints. Pyotr Ivanovich listens to the others talk, but he does not join in much. He is content to sit, to feed the pigeons, to watch the light change on the buildings across the square. He thinks about his garden, about the vegetables he will plant when spring comes, about the satisfaction of watching things grow. He thinks about his wife, who died 5 years ago, and the small apartment that feels too empty without her. He thinks about his daughter, who lives in a city far away, a city that exists, a city he has never seen. She writes to him, sometimes, letters that arrive with the census stamps, letters full of news about her life, her work, her children. He reads them over and over, until the paper grows soft and the words are memorized. A pigeon lands on the bench beside him, bold and unafraid. It cocks its head, looking at him with one bright eye. He breaks off a piece of bread and holds it out, and the pigeon takes it gently, its beak a soft touch against his fingers. It flies away, and another takes its place. The cycle continues, a small, endless dance of giving and receiving. Pyotr Ivanovich smiles, a small, private smile. This is enough, he thinks. This is enough. The afternoon deepens, the light taking on the golden quality that precedes the evening. The old men begin to disperse, heading home for their dinners. Their quiet conversations fading into the air. Pyotr Ivanovich stays a little longer, alone now with the pigeons. The square is quiet, the bustle of the day subsiding. He watches the shadows lengthen, the buildings across the way taking on a soft, warm glow in the fading light. It is a peaceful time, this hour between afternoon and evening. A time for reflection, for letting the day settle, for preparing for the night to come. He rises, finally, brushing the last crumbs from his lap. The pigeons scatter, then regroup, watching him with their bright, unreadable eyes. He walks slowly home, his steps careful on the path, his mind full of small thoughts, small memories, the quiet detritus of a long life. He passes the bakery, closed now, the windows dark. He passes the school, empty and silent, the playground deserted. He passes the apartment buildings, lights beginning to come on in the windows, the warm glow of domesticity spilling out into the twilight. He reaches his building and climbs the stairs, slowly, one step at a time. The stairwell is quiet, the only sound his breathing and the soft thump of his feet on the concrete. He reaches his floor, walks to his door, unlocks it. The apartment is dark and cold, but he does not mind. He turns on a light, hangs his coat, puts the kettle on for tea. The familiar rituals comfort him, anchor him in the present. He is alone, but not lonely. He has his memories, his routines, his small pleasures. He has the pigeons and the park and the quiet satisfaction of a day lived simply, peacefully, without incident. He makes his tea and sits in his chair, the same chair he sits in every evening, looking out the window at the city below. The lights are coming on everywhere now, a constellation of warm yellow points in the deepening blue of the twilight. He watches them appear, one by one, like stars emerging in the evening sky. Each light is a home, he thinks. Each light is a family, a story, a life. And they are all here, all together, in this hidden place, this city that does not exist. He is part of it, part of this constellation of lives, this secret community. And in the quiet of the evening, that thought is enough. In your own small warm room, you have spent the day in quiet exploration, or perhaps in rest, or perhaps in simply being present in this hidden place. The hours have passed gently, without demand, without urgency. You have walked the streets, sat in the park, visited the library, watched the life of the city unfold around you. You have become, in some small way, part of its rhythm, part of its quiet, steady pulse. Now, as evening falls, you are back in your room, sitting by the window, watching the lights come on. The city below is transforming, the dark shapes of buildings giving way to the warm glow of windows. The street lamps flicker on, casting their soft orange light on the empty pavement. The last trams rumble past, carrying the last workers home. The bakery is closed, the school empty, the library dull. The city is settling into its evening rhythm, the slow unwinding that precedes the night. You think about the people you have seen, the lives you have glimpsed, the old man in the park, feeding the pigeons, the librarian stamping books with quiet devotion, the children running home from school, their laughter bright in the cold air, the young mother with the pram, the milkman on his rounds, the workers returning from the zone, their faces tired but peaceful. They are all here, all part of this hidden world, and you are here too, a witness, a participant, a sleeper among sleepers. The light fades completely, and the city is given over to the night. The stars appear, one by one, the same stars that shine on the outside world, on the cities that exist, on the people who do not know that this place exists. The forest is dark around the city, a ring of deeper night holding the secret safe. The zone is silent, or nearly silent, its work continuing invisibly, unheard, unfelt. In your room, you prepare for sleep. The bed is soft, the blanket warm, the window is closed against the cold, but you can see the stars through the glass, faint and distant. You lie down, and the day's impressions drift through your mind, a slow river of images and sensations. The smell of bread from the bakery, the soft thump of the library stamp, the cooing of the pigeons, the laughter of children, the warm glow of windows in the twilight. You are tired, but peacefully so. The kind of tired that comes from a day well spent, a day of simple pleasures and quiet observations. Your eyes grow heavy, your breathing slows, the sounds of the city fade, replaced by the deeper silence of the night. You are drifting, into the soft embrace of sleep, and as you drift, you are aware, dimly, distantly, of the city around you. The sleeping city, the hidden city, the city that does not exist. It holds you, as it holds all its sleepers, in its quiet, secret heart. You are part of it now, part of its dreaming, part of its hidden life. The night is deep and long, and you are safe within it. The hours of the night will pass, as they always do, in their slow, patient way. The stars will wheel across the sky. The frost will form on the windows. The city will breathe, slow and deep, its collective respiration a gentle rhythm in the darkness. And you will sleep, dreamless or dreaming, held in the quiet embrace of this hidden place. Tomorrow will come, another day, another chapter in the life of the secret city. But that is for later. For now, there is only this, the night, the sleep, the peace, the city that does not exist, dreaming its quiet dream. And you dreaming with it, held in its hidden, gentle heart. The night deepens. The city sleeps, and in the small, warm rooms, the sleepers drift through their dreams, each one a private world, each one a thread in the vast, invisible tapestry of the city's hidden life. The old man in his chair, the librarian in her bed, the child with his secret sound, the young teacher with her visions of the forest. They are all there, all sleeping, all dreaming, all part of the same quiet mystery. And somewhere, deep in the zone, the machines continue their work, their low hum a vibration felt rather than heard, the secret heartbeat of the city, pulsing through the night. It is a sound that reaches into dreams, that shapes them, perhaps, in ways the sleepers do not know. It is the sound of the city's purpose, the reason for its existence, the invisible force that brought it into being and keeps it alive. But in sleep, that purpose fades, becomes irrelevant. In sleep, there is only the self, the private world of dream and memory and desire. The sleepers are free, in their dreams, to go anywhere. To be anyone, to escape the boundaries of the secret city and visit the wider world, or to explore the deeper landscapes of their own minds. The night is their time, their space, their liberation from the demands and constraints of the waking world. And so they dream, each in their own way, each in their own way. The dreams are as varied as the dreamers, as countless as the stars. Some are joyful, some sad, some strange, some simply peaceful, the mind resting in a quiet, dreamless void, but all of them are real, in their way, as real as the city itself, as real as the forest, as real as the night that holds them. The night continues, vast and patient, holding the secret city in its quiet embrace. The stars wheel overhead, the frost forms and reforms, the machines hum their hidden song, and the sleepers sleep, their dreams weaving the invisible fabric of the city's hidden life. In the deepest hour, when the night is most profound, a change occurs. It is the same change that comes every night, the slow, imperceptible turning towards dawn. The darkness softens, just a little, at the edges. The stars begin their slow fade, the first birds stir, though they do not yet sing. The city, still sleeping, begins its slow drift towards waking. But that is still to come, for now there is still the night, still the sleep, still the peace. The secret city rests, hidden and safe, in the heart of the forest, and you rest with it, a sleeper among sleepers, a dreamer among dreamers, held in the gentle, endless night.